Hi, everybody. Dr. Larry, the author of Save Baseball, a prescription for the major leagues. So, a couple of weeks in, let's do a little recap. What are some of the things that you've noticed? I'd love for you to drop them in the chat, some of your observations the first couple of weeks. But is it panic time? Is it time to pull the chute for some of these teams and potential players? Probably not. However, let's talk about how your team's doing, what predictions you made, and how they've fared so far the first couple of weeks of the MLB season. We all like to do that. We all like to kind of take a look in the crystal ball and make some prognostications. It's almost like the New Year's resolutions where we'll all make them, and about a month in, we can pretty much rely on the fact that we probably didn't do so well on those. So here we are a couple of weeks in on the baseball season. And I would say, while my predictions aren't perfect by any stretch, I think my National League West prediction looks pretty solid. Would you agree? I predicted that we would have three teams from that division make the playoffs. I thought, of course, the Dodgers, Padres, D-backs. Well, right now it's the Giants. Aren't they a surprise? Yes, they are. They're playing great baseball. Bob Melvin, I know, was talking the other day, the manager of the Giants, and somebody said, "Tell us about your club, Bob." And he said, we don't have a lot of huge names on our team, but one thing we do have is a team. So good for the Giants. I'm usually a little tough on them, but they're certainly off to a very, very good start. Other things that happened the first couple of weeks of the season, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Big Daddy Vladdy's kid of the Blue Jays signed, pretty enormous deal, making him most likely a Blue Jay for life. So what are my thoughts on Big Daddy Vladdy's kid, Vladdy Jr., getting a lot of coin and some years attached to it? I think it's great for him. I always applaud the players when they can get theirs. I think he deserves to be paid as one of the best players in the game. So kudos to him. Good for the Blue Jays. I'm usually tough on them too. And kind of surprised that they actually came through with a major signing. But guess what? The pressure's on. The pressure is on because you can't just sign somebody to an enormous, $500 million contract and cross your fingers. So that puts pressure on everybody in that organization. Of course, it puts pressure on Vlad Jr. He's got to step up and he's got to earn that money. He's got to put up the numbers that he has been putting up for the bulk of his career. It also puts pressure on the Blue Jays front office because they have to deliver. They have to build around him. They can't do what they have done in years past and swing and miss at just about every top free agent that is out there. So it's on you, Blue Jays, to see what you're going to do with this investment. It also puts a lot of pressure on the managerial staff, coaching staff of the Blue Jays, because now that team has committed a lot. That organizations put a lot of money into one player, and now the other players have to step up. So that's going to be an interesting story to watch. I'm glad he was signed early in the year. It kind of makes it fun to keep an eye on this story. Couple of surprises, even when I mentioned the Padres as somebody that I thought that team was going to be a contender, they are off to a hot start and they don't have everybody back. Darvish is still out, and those other starters have certainly picked up the slack, and their offense has just been so much fun to watch. So I'm happy for the Padres are off to a great start. And I know the city of San Diego, my former home, used to live right next door to Petco Park, so I know what's going on in the Gaslamp Quarter. A lot of excitement, and it's well earned. Another team that has surprised many, the Angels. How about that? The Angels. They are likewise looking good in all facets of their club. Kudos to manager Ron Washington, who has set his team up for success right out of spring training. They are pitching well. Their offense is fantastic. They had a game against Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. Remember, that's at a spring training home, Steinbrenner Field, while well, I guess we'll figure out what's going to happen to the stadium for Tampa Bay. But they're playing at that ballpark, and the Angels just went off recently. Tons of home runs, and that's exciting because I've got a connection to that team with some relatives, and I've always been an Angel fan. I grew up in Orange County, so great to see the Halos back, making some headlines as well. Well, something else that's not really a surprise thus far. Well, the White Sox are terrible, and the Pirates are right behind them. So there you go. You can count on that. So when I led this, I led this video off by saying, "Is it too early to pull the plug? Panic time?" Well, for those two teams, it might be. Certainly for the White Sox, they had a horrific year last year, and they're off to an equally dismal start in 2025. I'm not so sure what the cards hold, but I do know this. I have a connection to that organization. I know somebody who is in their minor league organization as a player, and he has been in other organizations before. And his commentary to me is that the White Sox are struggling to develop their talent. He can't believe some of the ways that they are going about conditioning, preparation, and he's not surprised that they're struggling because of that. So here's some good news for the Pirates. Skeens, Paul Skeens, this guy is not having a sophomore jinx. He was, of course, the toast of the town and throughout baseball. A lot of fun to watch him last year. One of the stats on him early on that has just jumped out to me that is like, wow, that's amazing. His whip is a .82. That is startling and impressive. By the way, ballpark behind me, Chase Field in Arizona. I was there last night and took some pictures while I was at the game. If you haven't been to that ballpark, I suggest you do it. Some of you would say indoor baseball, no thank you. I would say I felt the same until I went there. It's a beautiful ballpark. It's a great fan experience if you're ever in the Valley of the Sun. Other interesting notes the first 2 weeks, base stealing is at the highest mark at this point of the season ever in Major League Baseball history. So let's unpack that for a second. Why do you think that is? Here's my thought. I have two of them. Number one, we still have those pizza-sized bases out there, do we not? They're enormous. So that's cutting down on some of the distance between the bases. That's what is this, year 3 of those bigger bases? But it's also two other things, actually, now that I think about it. The pickoff rules for certain. Remember what those are? You get 2 opportunities to pick off a base runner. The third time, either you pick him off or he is awarded the next base. So 2 throws to first, for example, that base runner can now inch off a little bit closer because most likely that pitcher is not going to pick that runner off. So he's going to deliver the pitch home. And there you go, an increase in stolen bases. The other reason that I think stolen bases are up, the pitch timer, the pitch clock, which I actually like. So if you say base stealing is up and that's good for baseball, I would agree 100% because it's exciting. Before these rule changes, nobody stole bases. In fact, I know somebody very close to the Angel organization who told me they specifically told Mike Trout, don't steal. This is before these rules came in. Like, just stay at first. Don't get hurt. This guy has got blazing speed, and we're telling him not to steal. So I like the changes. I think it's better for baseball. So those are the intended consequences of those rules. So I like them. I'm excited about the first couple of weeks of the season. We'll do this from time to time. We'll kind of check in and do a little dipstick and see how things are going. I would love to know, again, your take on the first couple of weeks of the season. What are some of your observations, things you've noticed, things that you thought were going to happen that haven't happened quite yet, and share them with me. As always, like my video, comment, as we were talking about a moment ago, subscribe. That would be great if you subscribe to my channel and also share the content. I've also created some shorts along the way, so dive into the channel a little deeper and you'll see some shorts and some of the things we've been talking about of late. So, as always, for the love of the game, I'm Dr. Larry.